Hello everyone, I am Preechika, Assistant Professor Babu Banarsi Das, University Lucknow. Today I am going to discuss the topic which is spatial senses. Under this topic, I will discuss about the anatomy and physiology of eye and ear. So, starting our first topic, which is the anatomy and physiology of eye. The eye is the organ of sight and it is situated in the orbital cavity and supplied by the optic nerve, the second corneal nerve. It is spherical in shape and about 2.5 centimeter in diameter. There is a space between the eye and the orbital cavity which is occupied by the adipose tissue, and the bony wall of the orbit and the fat protect the eye from injury. Structurally, the two eyes are separated, but unlike the ears, some of their activities are coordinated, so they are normally function as a pair. The structure of eye. There are three layers of tissues in the wall of eye. The first is the fibrous layer, which is the outer layer, also known as protective part, which consists of sclera and cornea. The middle layer, which is the vascular layer, and it is also known as nutritive part. It provides nutrition and oxygen to the eye, which consists of choroid, ciliary body and iris. And the third is the inner layer, which is the nervous tissue containing the retina part. Here is the diagram of the human eye. The eye consists of three layers. The outermost layer, the of the posterior and the lateral aspects of the eyeball, and it is continuous interiorly, with the cornea. It consists of a film fibrous membranes that maintain the shape of the eye and gives attachment to the extensing muscle of the layer of eye. The second layer, which is the fifth sixth part of the outer layer, is the choroid. The choroid lies the posterior fifth sixth of the inner surface of the sclera. It is very rich in blood vessels and it is a deep chocolate brown in color. And in the interior side of the eye, the ciliary body continues with the choroid, consisting of the ciliary muscle, the smooth muscle fibers, and secrete the epithelial cells. These are present anterior portion of the eye, and these are thicker, and the in the middle of the ciliary body it consists the iris, the visible color ring at the front of the eye and extended anteriorly from the ciliary body, lying behind the cornea and front of the lens. And in the center is an aperture called the pupil, and the innermost part contain the retina. The retina is the innermost lining of the eye, and it is extremely delicate structure and well adapted for stimulation by the light rays. It is composed of several layers, the nerve cell bodies and their axons, lying on a pigmented layer of epithelial cells. It consists of two layers, the highly pigmented layer and the neural layer. The highly pigmented layer is responsible for the color of the vision, and the neural layer contain two receptor cells, which are the cones and rods, which contain the photosensitive pigment that convert the electromagnetic light into the electrochemical light. So this is the basic diagram of human eye. Now we will discuss about the part of eye in detail. The first is the sclera. The sclera, or the white of the eye, forms the outermost layer of the posterior and lateral aspect of the eyeball, and it is continuously anteriorly with the cornea. It consists of thin fibrous membrane that maintain the shape of the eye and gives attachment to the extrinsic muscle of the eye. Basically, sclera is made up of tissue that covers the whole eyeball, and it is white in color because no blood vessel supplies in this area. And the main function of sclera is to protect the eye and give the shape of the eye. The next is the cornea. The light rays passes through the cornea to each the retina. The cornea is a convex anteriorly involved in reflecting or bending light rays to focus on the retina. The next is the choroid. The choroid lines the posterior fifth of the inner surface of the sclera. It is very rich in blood vessels and is deep chocolate brown in color. The light enters the eye through the pupil, stimulate the sensory receptor in the retina, then it absorbed by the choroid. The next is the ciliary body, consisting of ciliary muscle, which is the smooth muscle fibers, and secretory epithelial cells. Contraction and relaxation of the muscle changes the thickness of the iris, which bends or reflects the light rays entering the eye to focus them on the retina. The epithelial cell secretes the aqueous fluid into the anterior segment of the eye. It is supplied parasympathetic branches of the oculomotor nerve, which is the third cranial nerve, and stimulation causes contraction of the smooth muscle and accommodation of the eye. The next is the iris. It is the visible color part of light. It is circular body composed of pigment cells and two layer of smooth muscle fibers. One is the circulating and radiating in the central. There is an aperture called the pupil. The iris is supplied by the parasympathetic and sympathetic nerves. The parasympathetic stimulation contract the pupil, and the sympathetic stimulation dilate the pupil, as shown in the diagram. The parasympathetic nerve stimulation contract the pupil, and the stimulation nerve the sympathetic stimulation nerve dilate the pupil. The color of the iris is genetically determined and depend on the number of pigment cell present. Albinos have no pigment cell, and people with blue eye have fewer than those with the brown eyes. The next is the retina, the innermost layer, extremely delicate structure and is specially adapted for stimulation by light rays. It is composed of several layers of the nerve cells bodies and their axons lying on a pigment layer of the epithelial cell which attached it to the choroid. The layer highly sensitive to light is the layer of sensory receptor cells and cells, which is rods and cones, which are responsible for phototransduction. Basically, it converts the electromagnetic energy into electrochemical energy. Near the center of the area, there is a little depression called the foia centralis, consisting of only the retina. There are fewer cone-like shaped cells. The rods and cones consist photosensitive pigments that convert the light rays nerve impulses. The small area of retina where the optic nerve leaves the eye is the optic disc blind spot, and it is the light sensitive cell. The next is the accessory organ of the eye. The eye is delicate organ which is protected by several structures. The eyebrows, eyelids, and eyelashes, the lacrimal apparatus. The eyebrows. These are two arched ridge of the supraorbital margins of the frontal bone. Numerous hairs project obliquely from the surface of the skin. They protect the eyeball from sweat, dust, and other foreign bodies. The next is the eyelids or eyelashes. The eyelids are two movable folds of tissue situated above and below the front of each eye. On their free edges are short curved hairs and eyelashes. The layers of tissue forming the eyelids are a thin covering of skin, a thin sheet of subcutaneous connective, which is loose areolar tissue, two muscles, the orbicularis oculi and the levator palpebrae, and a thin sheet of dense connective tissue, and a membranous lining the conjunctiva. The conjunctiva is a fine transparent membrane that lines the eyelids and the front of the eyeball. Where it lines the eyelids consists of highly vascular epithelial. Mm, uh, the function of these eyelids are they protect the eye from the injury, and reflex closure of the lids occur when the conjunctiva or the eyelashes are touched, when an object comes close to the eye, or when a bright light shines into the eye. This is called the corneal reflex. The extrinsic muscle of the eye, their action and the corneal nerve supply. Medial rectus rotates eyeball inwards, and the corneal nerve supplies is oculomotor nerve, which is the third corneal nerve. The second is the lateral rectus rotates the eyeball outwards. Abducent nerve, the sixth corneal nerve. The third is the superior rectus, which rotates the eyeball upwards. The corneal nerve supply is oculomotor nerve, the third corneal nerve. The next is the inferior rectus, which rotates the eyeball downwards. Oculomotor nerve, the third corneal nerve. Superior oblique rotates the eyeball downwards and outwards, which is the trochlear nerve, the fourth corneal nerve. And the last is the inferior oblique rotates the eyeball upwards and downwards. And supply corneal nerve is oculomotor nerve, the third corneal nerve. The next is the physiology of vision of eye. The steps of vision: the light refraction through the cornea and lenses, accommodation, photopigments, phototransduction, photoreceptor activity in the dark and when exposed to light. So, first is the refraction. The refraction is the light wave travel parallel to each other, but they bend when passes from one medium to another. For example, if the light passes in the water, this is the air medium, and this is the another medium, water. When the light waves travel parallel to each other, they cause a bend when they passes from one medium to another. Before light reaches resting, it passes through the cornea, aqueous humor, lens. So refraction takes place in every medium before it falls on the retina. In normal eye, light wave focused on the retina. The eye is optically equivalent to the usual photographic camera. The lens system of the eye is composed of four refractive interfaces. Uh, Now, on the formation of an image on the retina, the lens system of the eye can focus an image on the retina. The image is inverted and reversed with respect to the object. However, the mind perceived object in the upright position because the brain is trained to consider an inverted image as the normal. The next is the accommodation. Accommodation is the reflex process to bring light rays from the object into perfect focus on the retina by adjusting the lens, by adjusting focusing the length. When an object lying less than 6 meter away is viewed, image formed behind the retina, but due to the accommodation, the lens image formed in retina, so we see the object. For recommendation to view object, ciliary muscle contract and the lens become thick when causes focus on the closer object. So for the near vision or focus on the near object, the ciliary muscle contract the ciliary muscle, which is the uh, middle part of the eye. It contract the ciliary body, pull forward and inward. So the tension on the suspensory ligament of the lens reduces. So what happened? The lens become thicker and round due to its elasticity and possible to focus on the near object. The next is the focus on the distance object. So what happened when we see the distance for vision? The ciliary muscle relaxes, the ciliary body return to its normal the resting stage. Suspension on the suspensory ligament of the lens increases, the lens become thinner or flat and possible to focus on the distance object. The next is the photopigments. There are four types of photopigments. One is the rod and one in each of three types of cones. The pigment in the rod is called rhodospin. Rhodospin absorbs all visible wavelength so that rods provide vision only in shade of gray by determining different intensities rather than the color. The three types of cones, the red, green and blue photospin, can respond selectively to various wavelengths of light, giving rise to color vision. The next is the phototransduction. Uh, for the initiation of the vision to occur, we need a stimulate. This can be either the inadequate stimuli and the adequate stimuli. The inadequate stimuli, they protect a glowing sensation called as phosphophenes. These can be either pressure phosphophenes, movement phosphophenes, electrical phosphophenes, or radiation phosphophenes. And the adequate stimuli in order to cause vision is formed by the visible part of the electromagnetic radiation spectrum. And the mechanism is that it can be occur by initiation of vision, which is known as phototransduction. uh, for we required senses, the senses require two things: the physical stimuli, which is the light, and the receptor, uh, which take the physical stimuli, which is photoreceptor. And the function of this photoreceptor is to convert the light into nerve impulses. The electromagnetic energy changes into electrochemical energy. And the mechanism of convert of the electromagnetic energy into the electrochemical energy is known as phototransduction. The retina therefore signals the brain. The light stimulates through an inhibitory response involving a series of physiological reaction. Action potentials only originate in the ganglionic cells, the first neurons in the chain that carry the visual stimuli to the brain, and the vision occurs. The whole process is called as phototransduction. The common disorders of eye, the first is the conjunctivitis. Here in the diagram, we can see the normal conjunctiva and the inflammatory conjunctiva. There is a redness in the sclera part in the conjunctiva. So basically, what is conjunctivitis? Conjunctivitis is the inflammation of the conjunctiva membrane. Basically, the conjunctiva membrane get inflamed due to the bacterial infection or the viral infection or the irritating toxic stimuli and the seasonal allergy. uh, the conjunctivitis can be classified into the bacterial conjunctivitis, viral conjunctivitis, and allergic conjunctivitis. The symptoms involved is the eye pain, foreign body sensation in the eye irritation, redness of the eye, swelling of the eye, watery discharge from the eye, and itching of the eye. The treatment to take in the conjunctivitis, the first are the antibiotics because it is an bacterial infection. So antibiotics like antibiotics eye drop, ciprofloxacin, antibiotics ointment were used, oxytetracycline ointment, and also antiviral drugs are used, acyclovir, trifluridine, um, idozuridine, and dexamethasone eye drops 4 times for allergic conjunctivitis. Eye irritation, in eye irritation, you should wash your eye with cold water regularly and avoid to touch the eye with the unclean hand and do proper hand wash. The next is the glaucoma. Glaucoma is simply defined as increase in the intraocular pressure. Glaucoma is defined as increase in the intraocular pressure more than 25 mm of Sg and characterized by optic nerves and peripheral visual field loss. The normal intraocular pressure less than 20 mm of Sg. The factors which causes glaucoma are the aging, the genetical or the family history, the idiopathic, the ocular surgery, hypertension, injury or trauma, and secondary to ocular infection. Classification, there are two types of glaucoma. mm, congen- Congenital glaucoma and acquired glaucoma. So, what is congenital glaucoma? It is a rare condition when an congenital defect in the angle of the anterior chamber obstructs the outflow of the aqueous humors, and acquired glaucoma is the developing during the lifespan. It is divided into primarily glaucoma, primarily open angle glaucoma, and primarily close angle glaucoma, and secondary glaucoma. The treatment for the glaucoma is beta adrenergic blockers like timolol and beta zolol because it causes due to hypertension. Myotics, carbachol, carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, which decreases the aqueous fluid production, uh, dorzolamide and methazolamide. And the surgical management are argon laser, trabeculoplasty, and laser iridotomy, and cyclocryotherapy, trabeculotomy, and drainage implants and shunts. And some other symptoms found in the series of ocular condition is the visual loss, a double vision, severe eye pain, and foreign body sensation. So this is all about the anatomy and physiology of eye and disorder of eye. So our next topic is anatomy and physiology of ear. The ear is the organ of hearing and is also involved in balance. It is supplied by the eighth cranial nerve, which is stimulated by the vibrations which caused by the sound waves. The structures that form the ear is encased within the pectoral portion of the temporal bone. So, if we will talk about the anatomy of the ear, so the ear is divided into three distinct parts, which is the external ear, also called the outer ear, which is visible part of the ear that projects from the side of the head. The middle ear, which is also known as tympanic cavity, and the inner ear. The external ear consists of auricle, pinna. It is composed of three layers: the helix, the lobule, and concha. Then it is attached with the external auditory canal and with the tympanic membrane. The outer layer end with the tympanic membrane and the middle layer start with the tympanic membrane, which is also known as eardrum. The middle layer is divided into three parts: the auditory ossicles, the oval window, and the eustachian tube. And the inner parts consist of semicircular canals, vestibules, and cochlea. Now we can see these parts with the help of this diagram. This is the diagram of the human ear. First is the outer ear or the external ear. It is made up of two layers. The pinna. The pinna consists of the helix, the lobule, and the concha. The concha is the funnel shaped. These all includes the pinna. This is the pinna. And this is the visible part of the ear that project from the side of the head. The next is the auditory matters, which is 2.5 centimeter long. This portion, which is 2.5 centimeter long, it contains hair which protect or avoid the entry of the dust particles, and further it contains the ceruminous cells. At this portion it contains the ceruminous cells, which are also known as earwax, which is a sticky material containing protective substances including the bactericidal enzyme lysozyme and immunoglobulins. The next is the middle layer, which and this outer layer ends with the tympanic membrane, which is also known as eardrum. Basically, this separate the outer layer and the middle layer. The outer layer ends at the tympanic membrane and the middle layer starts from the tympanic membrane. The middle layer consists of auditory bones. This is irregular shaped ear-filled cavity within the pectoral portion of the temporal bone. The cavity, it contains the ear sacs which open out it and lined with either simple or cuboidal epithelial. The lateral wall of the middle ear is formed by the tympanic membrane. And the auditory bones consist of three bones: the malleus, incus, and stapes. And the inner part consists of semicircular canals, the cochlea, and the vestibules. The cochleas are coil-shaped structure in the inner part of the ear, and the cochlea help in hearing. Now we further study this all part in details. So the first is the auricle pinna, that we know that it consists of three parts: the helix, the lobule, and the concha. So first is the auricle. It is the visible part of the ear that projects from the side of the head. It is composed of fibroelastic cartilage which is covered by the skin. It is deeply groomed and ridged, the most prominent outer ridge in the helix. The lobule is the soft, palleable part at the lower extremely composed of fibrous and adipose tissue which is rich in blood supply. The lobule part contain the fibrous and the adipose tissue uh, in which the blood is supplied. The second is the external auditory canal. This is slightly S-shaped tube or curved tube which is 2.5 centimeter long. It extends from the auricle to the tympanic membrane. Uh, it is a thin, semi-transparent partition between the external auditory canal and the middle ear. It is covered by the epidermis and lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. It lies in the temporal bole and leads from auricle to eardrum. Between the epithelial layer is connective tissue layer. The connective tissue layer is composed of collagen, elastic fibers and fibroblast. And near the external opening and external auditory canal, it contains a few hair and the ceruminous glands. The ceruminous glands secrete the cerumen, which is earwax. It is the combination of the hairs and cerumen help to prevent the dust and foreign objects from entering the air. The ceruminous glands are modified sweat glands that secrete cerumen, earwax, which is a sticky material containing protective substances including the bactericidal enzyme, lysozyme, and immunoglobulins. The movement of the temporomandibular joint during chewing and speaking massage the cartilage matters, moving the wax towards the exterior. The tympanic membrane completely separate the external uh, auditory canal from the middle ear. So basically this part is the external auditory canal. It is a little bit curve shaped or S shaped and 2.5 centimeter, and it lies between the uh, tympanic membrane and auricle. The process of sound is the sound waves collect by the outer layer, and it enters to the or it enters or passes through the external auditory canal. Then it enters to the eardrum when these sound waves vibrate, and there is opening of the bones, the mys bones. So our next topic is anatomy and physiology of ear. The ear is the organ of hearing and is also involved in balance. It is supplied by the eighth cranial nerve, which is stimulated later by vibration, which is caused by the sound waves. The structures that forms the ear are encased within the petrous portion of the temporal bone. Now we will talk about the anatomy of ear. The ear is divided into three distinct parts. The first is the external ear, also known as outer layer, which basically consists or divided into two parts: the auricle and the external auditory canal. The middle layer, also known as tympanic cavity, and the inner layer. So further these layers are divided into different parts. The external layer divided into three parts: the auricle, which is also known as pinna, the external auditory canal, and the tympanic membrane. The middle ear consists of auditory ossicles, which contains the ear bones, the oval window, and eustachian tube. And the inner ear consists of semicircular canals, vestibules, and cochlea. Now we understand the different parts of ear by this diagram. This represent the human ear. The outer layer, which is the visible part of the ear that projects from the side of the head, is the auricle, uh, which contain three parts: the helix, the lobule, and the concha, and all these three include the pinna. Uh, then the next part is the external auditory canal, which is slightly curved shaped. This is curved shaped, tube-like structure which is 2.5 centimeter long. This portion contains hairs and ceruminous cells. The hair avoid the entry of the dust particles, and the ceruminous cells are sticky material containing the protective substance, including the bactericidal enzyme, lysozyme, and immunoglobulins. The outer layer ends at the tympanic membrane, which is also known as eardrum, and the middle layer starts from the tympanic membrane, also known as tympanic cavity. It consists of auditory bones. Uh, Basically, it is an irregular shaped air-filled cavity within the petrous portion of the temporal bone. The cavity contained the air sac, which open out it and lined with either simple or cuboidal epithelial. The lateral wall of the middle layer is formed by the tympanic membrane. This auditory bone consists of three bones: the malleus, incus, and stapes. The malleus is hammer shaped, incus is anvil shaped, and the stapes is uh, stripes shaped. These are the three bones: the malleus, incus, and the stapes. Further, it is attached to the oval window and the eustachian tube. This eustachian tubes carry the air from the narophagus. The sound from the outer ear and the air from the eustachian tube maintain a balance in the tympanic membrane. The next is the inner layer, which consists of semicircular canals, cochlea, and the vestibules. The cochlea help in hearing. The ear consists of two receptors: the phonoreceptors, which is responsible for the sound, and the statoreceptor, which maintain the body balance. Now, further we study this part in details. The first is the external ear, the auricle, pinna. The auricle is the visible part of the ear that projects from the side of the head, and it is composed of the fibroelastic cartilage, which is covered by the skin. The rim of the auricle is called the helix, and inferior portion is called lobule. The lobule is the soft, palleable part at the lower extremity, composed of fibrous and adipose tissue, which is rich in the blood supply. The next is the external auditory canal. This is a slightly S-shaped or curved tube, which is about 2.5 centimeter long. It is thin, semi-transparent partition between the external auditory canal and the middle ear, and basically it is covered by the epidermis and lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. It lies in the temporal bone and leads from the auricle to the eardrum. Between the epithelial layer is connective tissue layer. Connective tissue layer is composed of collagen, elastic fibers, and fibro. And near the external opening, the external auditory canal contain a few hairs and ceruminous glands. Ceruminous glands are modified sweat glands that secrete cerumen. Airwax, a sticky material containing a protective substance, including the bactericidal enzyme, lysozyme, and immunoglobulins. And combination of hair and cement help to prevent the dust and foreign objects from entering the ear. Basically, this is the outer part, the auricle, and this portion from the auricle to the tympanic membrane, which is curved shape, is known as the external auditory canal. Uh, and this tympanic membrane completely separate the external auditory canal from the middle ear. It is oval shaped with slightly bordered edge upwards and formed by three types of tissue: the outer covering hairless skin, the middle layer of fibrous tissue, and the inner layer of the mucous membrane continuous with that of the middle ear. So basically what happened, the sound waves collect from the outer layer, and it passes through the auditory canal, the external acoustic matters, and pass through the eardrum, where the eardrum vibrate these sound waves. uh, then these bones, the malleus, incus, and stapes moves, so these vibration passes in the inner ear. In the inner membrane there is a fluid present which get vibrated, and sensory cell get activated, which send the nerve impulses to the vestibular uh, cochlea, which is the eighth cranial nerve in the brain, and this uh, nerve convert into the sound we hear. And it is all about the outer layer of the ear. Now moving to the next layer, the middle layer. The middle layer is a small air filled cavity in the temporal bone, and it is lined epithelium. It is separated from external ear by the eardrum and separated from inner ear by the oval window. The structure of middle ear are tympanic membrane, ossicles, oval window, and eustachian tube. The tympanic membrane, it is a pearly gray. It is a three-layered structure. Outer layer is skin, middle is connective tissue, and inner layer is respiratory epithelium. A part of the first of the ossicles, the long process of malleus is embedded in the lower part of the tympanic membrane, and this end at a point known as the Yumbo. The anterior and posterior malleolar fold divided the tympanic membrane into two distinct parts, the upper parts facida and lower parts tensa. The next is the auditory ossicles. These are the smallest three bones of the body, connected by the synovial joints. These bones are millimeters in size that extends across the middle ear from the tympanic membrane to the oval window. They form a series of movable joints with each other and with the medial wall of the cavity at the oval window. The ossicles are held in place by fine ligaments and are named according to their shape. The malleus, also known as also the shape of malleus is hammer like shape. The incus, the anvil shape, and the stapes, the stirrup shape. The malleus word is a Latin word which means hammer. It is the first bone of the middle ear. The handle of the malleus is attached to the internal surface of the eardrum. Head of malleus is attached with the body of incus. The primary function of malleus is the transmission of the sound waves or vibration from the eardrum to incus. The second bone, the incus, it is the second bone located in between the malleus and the stapes. The incus transmit vibration from the malleus to the stapes. The stapes is the third and the final bone of the middle ear. It is the smallest and light bone of the human body. The stapes connect the incus on the outward side and the oval window in the inward side. The primary function of the stapes is transmitting sound waves from the incus to the membrane of the inner ear. The next is the eustachian tube. The middle ear is an air-filled space is consist of both bone and hyaline cartilage. It is normally closed as the pharyngeal end and open during swallowing. The next is the inner ear. The inner ear or labyrinth, meaning maze, contain the organ of hearing and balance. The inner ear is the most important part of the ear because it involved in the hearing and balance, and it is divided into two parts, the outer bony labyrinth and the inner membranous labyrinth. Uh, the membranous labyrinth is filled with endolymph. The membranous labyrinth is divided into main three regions: the vestibule, the semicircular canals, and the cochlea. The vestibular duct, it is the expanded part nearest the middle ear. The oval and round window are located in its lateral wall. It contains two membranous sac, the cuticle and the saccule, which are important in balance. Basically, vestibules help in the balance part. The next is the semicircular canal. Uh, here is the vestibular duct, the semicircular canal. These are three tubes arranged so that one is situated in each of these planes of these spaces. It basically it contains of three tubes that arrange in three planes. They are continuous with the vestibular and also important in balance. Basically, these are continuous with the vestibular duct, and similarly it also help in balance. The next is the cochlea. The cochlea resemble the snail cell. This is the cochlea part, and it resemble the snail cell. It is a broad base where it is continuous with the vestibular and a narrow apex and spiral round a central bony column. And the outer bony labyrinth is a series of cavities in the temporal bone. It is divided into three regions: the semicircular canals, vestibules, and cochlea. Bony labyrinth is lined with the periosteum and contains fluid perilymph, which is similar to central spinal fluid. The inner membranous labyrinth, it is a series of sacs and tubes inside of bony labyrinth. The membranous labyrinth is lined with epithelium. It contains endolymph. The level of potassium ions are high in endolymph. Potassium ions generated at the ordinary signals. And membranous labyrinth consists of two sacs, the utricle and the saccule. The next is the physiology of hearing. Every sound produces sound waves or vibration in the air, which travel about 332 meters per second. That the auricle, because of its shape, collects and concentrate the waves and direct them along the auditory canal, causing the tympanic membrane to vibrate. Basically, the auricle part direct the sound waves into the external auditory canal. When the sound wave strikes the eardrum, that causes eardrum to vibrate, and the central area of the eardrum is connected to malleus, which start to vibrate. The vibration is transmitted from the malleus to incus, then to stapes. Basically, the three bones get start vibrate and move as the steps stapes move back and forth. Its pushes the membrane of oval window in and out. So the movement of the oval window set up fluid pressure waves in the perilymph. Then the vibrations are transmitted to the organ of Corti through the perilymph and endolymph. From the organ of Corti, the impulses produced by the vibration are carried to the brain through the eighth cranial nerve to auditory center of brain, which is present in the temporal bone. And after that we hear a sound. Sound waves have the property to pitch and volume or intensity. Pitch is determined by the frequency of the sound waves and it is measured in hertz. Sound of different frequencies stimulate the uh, basilar membrane at different places along its length, allowing to the discrimination of pitch. The volume depends on the magnitude of the sound waves and it is measured in decibels. The greater the amplitude of the wave created in the endolymph, the greater the stimulation of the auditory receptor in the hair cells in the spiral organ, enabling prescription of the volume. And long term exposure to excessive noise causes hearing loss because it damages the sensitive hair cells of the spiral organ. So this is all about the physiology and anatomy of the ear. The next are the disorder of ear. The first is the acoustic neuroma. Acoustic means hearing and neuroma is the tumor of the nerve fibers. So acoustic neuroma, a non-cancerous growth that begins in the nerve that carries hearing and balance sensation from the ear to the brain. This slow growing tumor eventually fills the ear canal and if untreated can cause life threatening damage to the brainstem. The optimal treatment is surgery, removal of the tumor. At the first stage, there is no symptoms. Uh, After that, the symptoms get seeing is a loss of hearing on one side, ringing in the ear, and dizziness and balance problem. The tumor can also cause numbness or paralyze the face. It is difficult to diagnose because the symptoms are similar to those of the middle ear problem. For this, we can do test is ear exam, hearing test, or scan. How if you have it? If the tumor stays small, you only need to have it checked regularly. And for treatment, surgery are available. Radiations are option. If the tumor affect both hearing nerves, it is often because of the genetic disorder called the neurofibromatosis. The next is the mastoids. This is the infection of the mastoid bone, honeycomb type structure that is part of the skull behind the ear. Unchecked mastoids can lead to deafness and life-threatening complication. The first line of defense is antibiotics, but mastodectomy may be required to clean out the infection and, if necessary, tympanoplasty to repair a damage of the eardrum. And the symptoms are the pain behind the ear, fever, and ear discharge. The next is the Meniere's disease, a disorder of the inner ear characterized by dizziness, hearing loss, and ringing of noises in the ear. Most common in the age of 35 to 60. It is caused by imbalance of fluid in the inner ear and it through to be an immune or inflammatory response. The condition is usually treated with medication, but when medicine does not work, an option can be surgery to relieve pressure in the ear, remove a faulty balance organ, or partially or completely remove a balance and or hearing nerve. It is all about the anatomy and physiology of ear and eye. And thank you for watching this video.